for public comment to this item. Diana, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Diana Curiel, and I'm a retired middle school science teacher from Hayward Unified School District. And I'll be speaking about the concept of sustainability. In terms of sustainability, I'd like to reiterate that holding on to fossil fuels is inherently unsustainable in terms of long-term financial value, as well as environmental, social, and governance risks. A concern I have relates to the content of the Green Initiative Task Force Annual Report, which was mentioned earlier by several people. And I was quite concerned when Mr. Ailman mentioned some of the diagrams on pages 69 and 70, which I had looked at previously, and I was very concerned about what they conveyed. He said that it's showing that CalSTRS is 11 years ahead of the pace of carbon tracking and integrating climate change into policy. My interpretation was completely different. When I first saw that, I saw that the two charts in their captions indicate that the authors have a misunderstanding of the science of sustainability and the significance of carbon budgets. The diagrams and the captions show portfolios and their alignments over time with a 2-degree and an amazing 4-degree warming scenario. There is no mention of a 1.5-degree scenario. The analysis gives the false impression that carbon budgets are resources that can be spent without consequences.
Thank you. Our next speaker is...
Carbon budgets are not like household budgets. They're more like a doctor's warning. Say your doctor tells you that if you keep smoking a pack of cigarettes for the next 10 years, you have a 50% probability of getting some form of lung disease. If you keep smoking for 40 years, the probability goes up to 80%.
You can give your comments, the rest of your comments to staff, and we'll make sure we get them, but we're going to proceed with the next speaker.
Okay, this is the last question. Is the doctor telling you it's okay to keep smoking?
No. Thank you very much. People, please respect the timer, and if the timer goes off, your comments can be handed to staff and we'll receive them in writing. Joan Lohman. Joan, are you here?
She's here.
Okay, welcome, Joan.
So I am the wife of a retired public school teacher and administrator from City College of San Francisco, and I'm a beneficiary of CalSTRS and very appreciative of that benefit. And at the same time, I'm aware that our planet is burning up, that one of the questions that hasn't come into the room really from this side is the urgency of this decision about divestment. My alma mater, Cal Berkeley, the whole system divested this year. You all know that. The whole trend in the economy of our world is toward divestment. I'd love to see CalSTRS take the leadership. I don't like to see my retirement coming from investments in fossil fuel. I have 10 great nieces and nephews who are going to be living on this planet for the next 50 years. We don't have time to wait on this issue. I plead with you to go deeper in this question of what it really means to take a strong position on climate crisis. I heard a lot of laughter around language that really upset me. This language around climate is so critical to our future. I appreciate everyone's efforts in the room around greening, and at the same time, we're not doing enough, and CalSTRS is not doing enough. Thank you.
Sandy Emerson. Welcome, Sandy.
Sandy Emerson from Fossil Free, California. I want to commend Kirsty Jenkinson and her staff for a splendid report, which was very well presented and very interesting. I do have a comment on the presentation and reporting of Scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions. The 1, 2, and 3 emissions, the total emissions exposure was reported for the aggregate of the public equities and the fixed income. And in the pie charts, the sector contributions reported only Scope 1 and 2 emissions. Since for the energy sector, 90% of their total carbon intensity is represented in their Scope 3 emissions, I hope that subsequent revisions will reveal the full risk, particularly of energy holdings. The good news is that CalSTRS sustainable investment initiatives have outperformed the rest of the portfolio. It may be that sustainable investing initiatives will grow since CalSTRS has added 3 new ESG managers and created a low carbon transition work plan. With such favorable returns, CalSTRS should double or triple sustainable investments. I'm sorry that these investments have remained at a token level, only 2% of the portfolio, and I hope you are encouraged to do more.
Thank you. Vanessa Warhite. Vanessa? After Vanessa is Maria Lopez Mendez, so if Maria can get ready. Vanessa.
My name is Vanessa Warhite. I'm the Executive Director of Fossil Free California and the daughter of a CalSTRS retiree. We appreciate the active role that CalSTRS is taking in their engagement alliances with actors such as Climate Action 100+, and we absolutely appreciate the complexity of this issue. But what is not complex is the fact that the energy sector in particular is currently comprised of 100% fossil fuel companies, and their profit depends on basically threatening all life on Earth. So engaging with this particular sector requires them to change their ordinary business, and the SEC has clear rules that preclude any kind of engagement on that. So it's a waste of time and resources to engage that sector. Also, that sector has proven time and again to be a bad faith actor. They are currently under multiple lawsuits for such, including many lawsuits here in California. I urge you as fiduciaries to demand active benchmarks and timelines for getting out of this sector. Other people have talked about 4 degrees as an absolutely preposterous target. I fully concur. And in closing, when you are in a hole, stop digging, which we recognize you are trying to do with this work, but please, we urge you, put down the biggest shovel first. Thank you.
Maria Lopez Mendez. Maria Lopez? Maria, are you here?
I'm here.
Oh, Mario.
Mario.
Pardon me.
Good morning, board. My name is Mario Lopez Mendez. I am a student at Sacramento State, and I'm native of Sacramento. I am very akin to the Sacramento City Unified School District, and as being an alumni of the district, very close to me what the actions of CalSTRS and where the investment direction is heading. For me, I like to assume good intentions for all members of the board, and I thank you for the Green Initiative report. Very insightful, and I appreciate the general direction that we're taking as far as accountability. However, I want, in addition to that, I want to give attention to page 62 of the report, in which it describes the risk management about the report, specifically about the idea that there is much confusion and debate, in a sense, about the impact of carbon emissions as well as climate change that we'll have. Though the evidence is overwhelming as far as what the impacts will be, and especially within the 10 years and within generations to come, and I urge you to take a more serious and a scientifically based approach to the impacts, and to align your investment approaches according to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. Esme, Placencia? Esme?
Hi, my name is Esme Placencia. I'm a student at Sac State, and I'm here with Sac Sunrise, and I support Fossil Free California, and I want to comment on the Green Initiative Task Force. For page 62, it says that divesting from fossil fuels is the last resort. That to me is quite surprising because it is for reasons of the health of the fund, but I think we should really be thinking about the health of the planet and the people and future generations as well as the students. I've had many teachers who I've seen as role models and leaders and have inspired me, and I truly believe that CalSTRS needs to step up their leadership and make a change. And I also wanted to comment on how it is claimed that CalSTRS is 10 years ahead, while the corporate knights said that CalSTRS could have been $5.5 million better in past 10 years, so I think they're behind, and we need to reduce carbon emissions by 0, not low carbon. So thank you for listening.
Paula Buell. Paula.
Hi, I'm Paula Buell. I'm a retired teacher and a pension holder. And I applaud you and I approve of Belief 9, and I believe that CalSTRS is taking the risk of climate change seriously. But oil and gas investments are just too risky to hold on to under any circumstances. The Potsdam Institute report that was published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science says carbon pricing won't reduce emissions fast enough to avert climate catastrophe. And when investors realize these fuels are too inefficient, there will be a tipping point, and those holdings will be worthless. CalSTRS is playing roulette with our pensions and our children's future by holding on to these doomed assets. I say yes to Belief 9, and what Belief 9 really means where oil and gas is concerned is divestment. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Casey. I'm 22, which is the age of incoming teachers, and I studied environmental science, and I come here to tell you I'm quite terrified of this report. You know, it's insulting how out of touch this report is. It's out of touch with the nature of SB 964. It's out of touch with what is scientifically acceptable, and out of touch with your own fiduciary duty. No one is saying 2 degrees Celsius is ideal, and anyone speaking about 4 degrees Celsius doesn't understand the science. How can you say that you are 10 years ahead when you've already used 3/4 of the budget for 2 degrees? How is that doing your job and upholding your fiduciary duty? If you don't think divestment is necessary to fulfill this duty, you're sadly mistaken. And if you think warming by even 2 degrees Celsius is acceptable, then you need to have better advisors. The science is clear, and your policies aren't anywhere near acceptable. Thank you.
That concludes public comments. Item 5. We're now on to item 6 on the agenda.